Welcome to 13 Minutes of Gig News. In 13 minutes or less. You guys, first of all, when this ends on the premiere, if you're watching the premiere, it should take you over to a live stream that I am doing with John McCallion. It will be a 45-minute stream, so it should be right at the end of this. It'll start. If it doesn't take you over to there and you are watching the premiere, please check the channel and you will find it live. Or if you're watching this after the premiere and later in the day, please go back and check the live. Let's cover some things real quick. We got to jump in here. So, D.C., if you work, I'll keep this real quick because today is the last day. This is not putting your name on a ballot or putting your name on a class action suit and waiting to see what happens. This is already done. If you worked in Washington, D.C. on the Instacart platform between 2016 or during 2016, 2017, 2018, you are minimal owed $150 and upward of $2,800. And here's the thing, guys. There's 3,500 people who qualify for this money, and there's only 50 who have claimed it. Now, some people who are only working 20, 25 hours a week are getting $2,000 in the settlement check. So listen, they did what they do, and they pushed it and waited to get it out on the news, the actual amounts and what you needed to do. So I'll put the link in here. It'll be the first link. So if you lived in D.C. during those times, or if you know somebody you did, forward this video to them, forward the article to them, whatever. All the articles can be found on RideshareRodeo.com. And obviously, this is time sensitive. Today is the last day that you can do it. If you worked on the platforms in D.C., you will get at least $150. And it's not like most people are going to get just that. That's just if you worked one shop and deliver. One shop and deliver during that time, you get $150. But if you worked weekly or for a few weeks or a couple months, you're looking at maybe thousands. So it's money that's going to be lost out. Out of 3,500 people, they only have 50 so far. So let's get that number up. Let the DC folks know today, March 25th, Saturday, last day to get this done. And all of the details are in the link. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about some states today, including my own, and where they're at. Haven't done an update in a minute. We are a solid one, and we're going to do this one today. So something really scary came out today. Really scary, you guys. This is pushing the boundaries by all means. Uber drivers, Instacart workers in Connecticut would be paid $36 an hour under the proposal. Okay, we're going to get into this, but it also includes delivery drivers, so don't let that title fool you. Now, obviously, everybody, if you're making $20 an hour and you're hustling in Connecticut, this sounds great, right? Okay, well, let's get into why it might not be so great, because this is a good example. Okay, so there is a bill being pushed through. Obviously Connecticut is a Democrat state, and not that means anything bad or good. It just means that this type of legislation is coming down quick, because this is kind of the last year for everybody to get in their chances on this. Because remember, the new labor code goes into effect in May. So that's why we're hearing about all these states now. I told you guys May is when it would start. But Connecticut, we had heard very few things about. And now today, boom, here's the bill, and it's awful. So, of course you'll like it, the pay part, but you got to really read between the lines here, because it's very clear what's going on. So the bill that's being pushed, and it has an 8-4 majority, so it's not even close. It's going to go through. Includes pay hikes for rideshare and delivery drivers, and penalties for certain employers who suddenly change worker schedules. We'll get to both. So, first of all, this is somewhat based on what happened in Washington. And I know there's a lot of people who are fans of that. I think that Washington was a better solution than some of the other states. However, my guard is always up, because things like this just don't get handed to us for free, and then nothing else happens. And there were Teamsters and other people involved in the Washington deal. So even if they all agreed and walked out of the room, the fact that the Teamsters even have their foot in the door is worrisome to me. Now, again, guys, I'm not a fan of unions, but I'm not bashing unions. A lot of people need unions. I was thinking about, like, there's a lot, but it's not like it. I don't know. Most unions today, especially in the gig economy, I'm more for, let's redefine it as a hybrid gig world, and then let's look at it. Not let's treat it as all these, 50-year freelancer type gig work and just throw it in with that, because it is different. But here's the deal, guys. So drivers who deliver food and groceries, as well as Uber and Lyft drivers, would be paid $36 per hour plus $1.30 per mile under legislation that heads to the Senate. That is heading to the Senate. So and I think it's headed to the Senate at the beginning of April. So the so-called predictable scheduling bill aimed at protecting workers in retail, food service, hospitality, and long-term healthcare will with companies of 500 people or more. So that's not cheap, obviously, right? That's not cheap at all. I mean, how is the supplemental going to happen to $36 an hour? I mean, plus the $1.30 a mile. You guys, I mean, like, look, I get that they've been underpaying and working that algorithm against us, but really, I mean, that's pretty high. So, let me say that here's a quote from Senator Rob Sampson, who says, "This is one of the most ironic pieces of legislation that I've run across yet. It shocks me the level of government interference and overreach that can be contained in just a few pages of policy. No one is compelling them to have that job. Certainly, I heard the testimony of the people complaining that the job doesn't pay enough and so forth, but that's a fact of life. Jobs pay what the market will bear." I don't want to agree with this comment, because obviously, one side goes too far one way, one side goes too far the other way. I try to be in the middle here as an independent contractor, as a registered independent voter. But I got to tell you that this is true. That's a fact of life. And jobs pay what the market will bear. Look, W-2 or no W-2, do you ever say, gosh, I'm paid perfectly, I don't ever need to make any more money? I think it's a fact of life. Don't care what bracket you're in. You're always going to want to make more money. You're never even the billionaires want more. But those of us who are just looking to make a good living, of course we always want more. We don't get to a place and go, this is perfect, I don't need to make any more. It's like you're trying to up your game, right? Always. So even when it gets to good, you don't want to get too comfortable, but it pays what the market will bear. So here's another quote. "My concern is just the shocking degree that this committee and the legislature of Connecticut thinks that it has the right to engage in activity like that. It just blows me away. I sit here and can't even believe that we are in America and there is a bill in front of us that's going to tell this private company to tell a willing independent contractor how much they have to pay them. It does not belong in this country. It's something that flies in the face of the American system. So I agree with this. I think this is just one of the most bogus bills ever. And again, when you get into the people who led this bill, here's what worries me and goes back to worrying me about Washington, D.C., too, is that this is based on, this is modeled after the legislation already in place in Washington state. Now, let me get to the scheduling part real quick. The scheduling bill would require employers to notify workers of their coming and going hours 2 weeks in advance and force them to pay workers half of their pay for each hour lost. If their shifts are changed with less than a week's notice, it would affect employers with 500 or more or big box stores and gig work economies. So here's the thing, guys. So they're pushing two bills, and one of them is the scheduling bill, which that part sounds good, right? But here's the thing. Guess what? The other bill is tied to this. Just like Massachusetts, they want you to be employees. They want you to be in a union. And yes, it is here in writing. I don't know what to say, guys. I was going to get into Massachusetts. They are going for a union model as well, but now Connecticut's looks harsher than Massachusetts. So we've been talking about this for a while. I wonder, a lot of you have been like going, well, when is this really going to happen? Okay, well, it's all happening. I mean, every state is drawing its line, is putting its mark down. Look, I'm going to put a couple other links in here because there's some related stories. We have a new co-op Rideshare in Colorado. I'll put the link in there for that. You guys should read up on that. The Massachusetts playbook article out of Politico. You guys should read up on that. That's going to tell you about those laws going into place. The Illinois common carrier law is trying to push an insurance policy down Uber and Lyft's throat that will make them leave the state. That one is a little bit different of a scenario, but these are all happening this week right now. So, you guys, I had a couple other stories, but that Connecticut one is the key because we didn't even see it, and now it's the worst one out there I know of. This is not a sustainable model. And they're trying to tell private businesses how to operate without regulation. Just, this is what we're going to make you do. So that said, we got a lot more to talk about, but not today because I ran out of time. That's 13 minutes of news in just under 13 minutes. Peace.